People moved into these homes, and of course what they think about is having a comfortable living room and a nice kitchen and big windows and so on. They don't really think or want to think about the technical systems. And yet the systems manifest themselves to them when they start not working, when they are difficult to control, when there is a filter that has to be changed and people don't know it. So there is kind of a lack of information, and information that would be at the level of the people living in these houses. And these buildings are supposed to be very energy efficient. They have very thick walls, they have very insulated windows. They also have some kind of smart and complicated systems such as floor heatings or mechanical ventilation. And these buildings are becoming more and more popular and more spread around cities, but we don't actually really know how people live in them. And the only thing we know is that there seems to be what we call an energy performance gap, which is these buildings use actually more energy than we thought they would. One of the technical systems that required some adaptation time was floor heating. Floor heating is very nice because you have this very pleasant feeling of warmth against your toes. If the air reaches the correct temperature, then the floor becomes cold. And you cannot just turn it on again like you would turn a radiator, because it takes some time to heat up. So I have talked to people who actually increase the temperature on the thermostat really high to maybe 28 or 30 degrees. And that's of course not very energy efficient. But that's one of the side effects of floor heating that you don't really realize as an engineer unless you go out and talk to people and try to understand their point of view and how they actually use the systems that you designed. Some people would understand what is wrong and fix it themselves. Some people would call the relevant person because that's what they are supposed to do in most places. And then some people would just understand that there is something going on but don't know that they can maybe get it fixed, or maybe don't really know what the problem is, and they feel that they basically don't really have control over the systems. They don't really know how to react, and in some places it manifested in the form of a lot of dissatisfaction and also a lot of kind of maybe extreme reactions. So one of the things that people were frustrated about were the ventilation diffusers. This is where the clean air comes into homes. Usually it is pre-adjusted when people move in, so the airflows are already calculated. So people are not supposed to touch it. They're not supposed to adjust it. But the problem is that sometimes it was not adjusted well, or some other component was not set well or dimensioned well. So it created some issues with draft or with noise, and people had to do something about it. Of course they had to, they were in their homes. So they turned the diffuser plates to shut it down completely. Also some people put some tape around it or some cotton in it. You might create more noise in your neighbor's apartment. You might get the system unbalanced, which means that it runs less efficiently. The components become more tired and vulnerable in a way. So it's not a very efficient way to get the ventilation to work. They don't think with the same referential as we think they do. For example, we engineers, we like to say that mechanical ventilation can actually replace window opening, because opening windows in winter is not very energy efficient. But if you can air out mechanically with the ventilation system with some air that is preheated, is a lot more efficient. But people want to open their windows, obviously they do, and they want to, I don't know, hear the bird outside, just feel some very fresh and very cold air once in a while. And these are this kind of things that don't come into our calculations, and it's normal. How could we predict this? But then, yeah, when people move into these homes and they have to deal with the systems that were designed with maybe another set of eyes, then it can come to some mismatches.